Hey everyone, today we're looking at Selective Preparation Power Reading Test 45. Let's get into it. So your first text is a closed passage where we have questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, each with blank spaces. Now we have 7 options to choose from for each of these options, and there's going to be one extra because there's 6 questions and 7 options. Now this book is called Books Unbound, which is sort of about sharing of books between two people or between many people around the world, and it's by Jody Minus. Now, these are all your options, and let's get into question 1. So, I've been dallying over my drink for an hour, waiting for the right moment to strike. People are milling about the counter, others are sitting at tables, deep in conversation. On a secret mission, I've managed to blend in, and my target is in sight. Suddenly, it's time. I stand, book under my arm, ready for the drop, check again that no one is looking, and head on over to the magazine pile in the corner of the cafe. Adrenaline pumping. Then we have option 1 or question 1. Now for each of these questions, we're going to be slotting in each option to see which one works the best. Now big clue here is this part over here. I stand, book under my arm, ready for the drop. This is giving a clue as to what this character is actually going to do next with the book under her arm. Okay, let's try A. Adrenaline pumping. I place my copy of Margaret Atwood's The Robber Bride on the pile and skedaddle out the door. This one makes perfect sense, right? Her adrenaline is pumping, so she's running quickly out of the door, and the book is under her arm, ready for the drop, so she places the copy of the book on the pile. Okay, this one works the best. Now, if you do go through each option, you will find that they don't really make sense compared to A. So 1, A is your best answer. Okay, questions 2 and 3 are quite close together, so we're going to do those together in the same paragraph. Question 2. Now we're just going to have to slot in each option here because we have nothing else to go off. So, simply register the book on the website by logging into your own virtual bookshelf. Attach an ID label to the inside cover. Well, they should say attach an ID label to the inside cover. Okay. Who read books and then release them into the wild? So you'll notice this comma and the part that comes after whatever blank space you have doesn't really make sense with option B. Okay, because of this word here. Who read books, right? The word who is only going to be used to refer to people. It's not used to refer to to items or books or anything like that. Always used to refer to people. So B doesn't work at all. Okay, let's try D. Some books never make it into the hands of another. Some get damaged along the way, but that's part of the fun. Who read books and then release them into the wild? Again, makes no sense. E. Despite appearances, I haven't lost my mind. Nor am I alone. There are 210 and counting thousand people just like me around the world who read books and then release them into the wild. Okay, this one is talking about people around the world, so using the word who actually works here. So E is a possible option. Let's look at G. I registered 9 books and released 8. I was starting to feel a bit disillusioned with BC. None of my books had been picked up and registered. Who read books and then release them into the wild. Again, this one is talking about books as the main subject. Okay, none of my books had been picked up and registered. So we need something that's talking about people. So E is your only option for question 2. Okay, now we've used E for question 2, but we still have B, D, and G to choose from for option 3 or question 3 over here. Okay, so B, D, and G are still options for question 3. Now let's read from before. Book crossing costs nothing to join. Skip something. Write a quick review of the book and then leave it somewhere for someone to find. Okay, so book crossing is the actual website being used here by this character, by this woman here. Okay, it's where you sort of have a book, you hide it somewhere in the world, and then using this website, you give clues about where it's located, and other people can find it, and they can find it, read it, hide it again. Someone else finds it, someone else reads it, someone else hides it. So it's like it's giving the book a sort of journey, right? You're hiding it places. So we get all that from the text, really. So it costs nothing to join, but we're writing a quick review of the book. So whatever's happening after this blank space are sort of like what you want to do or how you use this website. Okay, so let's try B as your first option. Simply register the book on the website by logging into your own virtual bookshelf, attach an ID label to the inside cover, write a quick review of the book, and then leave it somewhere for someone to find. This one makes perfect sense. Okay, given instructions on how to use the website. Okay, B is your best answer here. Now the others are sort of talking about the website for example, in D, some books never make it into the hands of another, but it's not giving an introduction into the website. Okay, this is basically the first time we've heard about book crossing, so it's going to talk about how to use it and what to do when you're using it, okay, rather than the details of it. So we've used E for question 2 and B for question 3. Now we did use 1 for question 1 as well, so we've already used 3 of the 7 options that we have in total. So when we're doing the next few questions, they're going to be a bit easier now that we've used some. Okay, question 4. So let's read from a little bit before. The site's Go Hunting section alerts BCers to recently released books in their area. Now we've already used A, so it's between C, F, and G. We have a blank space, a colon, and go towards the opera house, down the escalators, and it is under the third pot on the left opposite the poster. Okay, so we have some instructions here on how to find a book. So, The Robber Bride was now in the hands of someone in Vancouver, Canada. Go towards the opera house, down the escalators, blah blah blah. Now this is in Vancouver, Canada. The opera house is in Australia, as you guys should know. So 2 unrelated settings and 2 unrelated sentences. C doesn't work at all. F, for example, somebody left a Harry Potter at Circular Quay near the Sydney Opera House with these very explicit instructions. ... Go towards the opera house, down the escalators, and it is under the third pot on the left opposite the poster. Okay, this one works perfectly. It's talking about the opera house, and it's introducing the instructions that we have right over here. Okay, these are all instructions on finding the book, and right before in the actual option it says with these very explicit instructions. So it works perfectly with option 4. Okay, question 4, your answer is F. Now question 5 and 6 again are quite close together, so we're going to do these ones together in the same paragraph, but you know, look at these options now. We've already used A, B, and E, so all we have left is C, D, and G, and we're going to use 2 of those, so one of these options is spare. Now, in 2 months of membership, The Robber Bride was now in the hands of someone in Vancouver, Canada. Now this does actually make sense as a sentence, right? It's grammatically correct, but you'll notice this one is better used in another option, and something else is better in this option. Okay, so whenever you try an option and you find that it sort of makes sense, just try the other options as well to see that it doesn't make better sense. So D, in 2 months of membership, some books never make it into the hands of another, some get damaged along the way, but that's part of the fun. Again, also makes sense, but let's try G now. In 2 months of membership, I registered 9 books and released 8. I was starting to feel a bit disillusioned with BC. None of my books had been picked up and registered. Okay, this one makes more sense, right? It's talking about within the time frame that this person has been part of this website or using this website in the 2 months of membership. We're talking about the time frame. So I registered 9 books and released 8. This one makes the most sense. So 5, your answer is G. And now that we've used G for option 5, for question 5, we only have C and D left for question 6. Okay? So, and then weighed down with failure, so the failure of not having any of her books that she hid being found by someone, I despairingly checked my email, and then I saw it. The Robber Bride was now in the hands of someone in Vancouver, Canada. My knees started trembling as I squealed with delight. This one works because she wants her book to be found by someone, and in this sentence, that's exactly what's happening. The Robber Bride was now in the hands of someone in Canada. So someone has found the book now. Okay? So because she's squealing with delight and her knees started trembling, and this is something that she obviously wants because she's delighted, something good is going to happen in this blank space. Okay? Not something bad, which is that books never make it into the hands of another. Okay? So 6, your answer is C. And now we're finished with this closed passage text. So on to the next. Now we have this text over here giving us a bunch of rules. Okay, let's read this one. Of 9 members on a baseball team, 4 bat right-handed, 3 bat left-handed, and 2 are switch hitters. So 9 in total. Each of the 9 players bats once and only once in the batting order. Exactly 2 left-handed batters bat consecutively, the switch hitters do not bat consecutively, and no 2 right-handed batters bat consecutively. A right-handed batter bats 4th. Okay, so a lot of rules here, but we're going to try and use a visualizing technique to see what this actually all means. So question 7. All of the following are possible batting assignments from first to third, except. So which one here does not work at all based on the rules that we have here? Now, how you want to do this is visualize it. So let's have 9 options or 9 spaces for each member on the baseball team. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, this last rule over here is saying a right-handed batter bats fourth. So fourth place over here. Let's put R for right-handed. Now let's try each of these. So a right-handed batter in first, a switch hitter, then a left-handed batter. Okay, so R, S, L, R. So far we're not breaking any rules, right? No two switch hitters are batting consecutively. No two right-handed batters are batting consecutively or next to each other. And nothing else is being broken. So A does work. B would also work because it's pretty much the same thing. Now C is where it starts to get a little bit messy. So we have a switch hitter in the middle, or the first one, a left-handed batter, and a right-handed batter. And since our fourth place is always going to be a right-handed batter, there's a problem over here. Okay? Two right-handed batters batting consecutively. But we have this rule over here. No two right-handed batters bat consecutively. That means that option C cannot be possible based on the rules that we have here. All the rest of these work. So question 7, your answer is C. Now, question 8. If a right-handed batter bats second, it must be true that what? So which of these must be true if a right-handed batter bats second? Again, we're going to use this visualization technique. 7, 8, 9. So I know a right-handed batter is always fourth, just like it says in the text here. And now a right-handed batter is batting second. Okay. Now, it's all going to really revolve around where the right-handed batters are, because we have 4 of them, and none of them can be next to each other. So that means you might have one over here, and one over here. Okay? Now, if you did have this order over here, have a look at this. There's only one space in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For any other batters. But exactly 2 left-handed batters will bat consecutively. Okay? If we have this order here, where the other right-handed batters are in the 6th and 8th spot, that means we can't fulfill this rule over here. So what that means, let's just draw another 9 over here. What that means is that we would have to have a right-handed batter here and here, or here and here. Right, these are the only 2 options for our right-handed batters, if we have a right-handed batter in second. And notice in both of these options, we have to have a right-handed batter in 9th place. Okay, that means A must be true. A right-handed batter must bat in 9th place if you have this right-handed batter over here. Because that's the only spread you can have of the right-handed batters. Okay, where you fulfill all the other rules. So A is A. Now, question 9 is a little bit trickier. It says, if left-handed batters bat second and 8th, all of the following must be true except what? So 3 of these rules must be true if you have left-handed batters in a second and 8th, and one of them does not have to be true. It can be possible, but it doesn't have to be true. Okay? So we're going to test all of these options and see what happens if we don't actually do this. Okay? So let's see if we can make an order with each of these options, and we're following all the rules as well. So let's try A. We have our 9 spaces. 9. So a left-handed batter is batting in second and in 8th, and we always have a right-handed batter in 4th. So let's see if we can make an order now without a right-handed batter batting first. So we're not using this batter over here. We can't have a right-handed batter here, because then they would be next to each other. And our only real options are here, or here and here. Okay, ignore this R over here. Now in this case, we can't fit any more right-handed batters on this list, because otherwise they would be next to each other, but we've only used 3. There have to be 4 right-handed batters, but we've only used 3 here, which means this would not work. We would have to have a right-handed batter in the first place. Okay, so A, we do need, which means it's not an answer. This must be true. Now let's try B. 9. This is for option B. So now we know that we have to have a right-handed batter in the first place, so we can slowly fill up these spaces. Okay, this is what we have so far. Now let's see if we can make an order with a switch hitter batting in 5th, or without a switch hitter batting in 5th. Now notice we have these 2 right-handed batters here. We would also have to have a right-handed batter in last place, because otherwise the right-handed batters would be next to each other, or we wouldn't have space for left-handed batters to be next to each other, because 2 of them have to be next to each other. So we also know there has to be a right-handed batter here. Now let's look at this rule for the switch hitters. Switch hitters do not bat consecutively, which means they can't be next to each other. So the only spots which aren't next to each other here are either here and here, or here and here. Okay, these are the only ones that work. So notice we have a common place where the switch hitter must be. In both of these options, the switch hitter must be in the 5th place, which means we have to have the switch hitter here. Okay, otherwise we can't fulfill all the rules. So again, we also need B. Now we're slowly filling up this chart, so it's going to get a little bit easier with the next few. Let's do C up top over here. 9. Now we know a right-handed batter is in 1st, left in 2nd, left in 8th as well, right in 4th, and a switch hitter in 5th. And also right-handed batter in 9th. So let's see if we can make an order without a right-handed batter batting 6th. So if the right-handed batter is not in 6th, he's not in this place. He's not in this place either, because then they would be next to each other. So the right-handed batter would have to be in here. Okay, this is the only option we would have. Now let's see if we can fill these other 2 roles without, clashing with some of the rules. So we could have a left guy here and a switch hitter here, but notice over here, now we have 2 switch hitters consecutive. So instead of the left here and the switch here, maybe let's try a switch here and a left guy here. That one doesn't work either, because if we have it like this, we don't have 2 left-handed batters batting consecutively. Okay, all the left-handed batters would be individual when 2 of them have to be next to each other. So what this tells us is that we also need a right-handed batter batting 6th, always. So these are the 3 rules that must be true. That means the last one doesn't have to be true. Now just to make sure, and to show you guys, I'll show you the last option as well. So this is what we've filled in so far, knowing A, B, and C and all the rules that we must follow. So all we have left are these 2 options. Now we need to test if we can have a switch hitter in another place besides 7th. Now the only other place is over here. So if we can have a switch hitter here and a left-handed batter over here, does this follow all the rules? Yep, it does. We have 2 consecutive left-handed batters. We have switch hitters not next to each other, and all the right-handed batters are not next to each other either. So this one follows all the rules, which means we don't have to have a switch hitter in 7th, right? We have a right-handed batter in here. Okay, this is the 7th place, which means, this is, and we have a left-handed batter here, which means we don't have to follow this rule. This is not a must to be followed. So 9, your answer is D. Now a bit of a long, almost working out, almost like a maths question, but once you actually do A, B, and you test out that those 2 you have to have, C becomes a lot quicker, and then once you know that these 3 are musts, D is the only real option. Okay, so you don't have to waste time actually trying out D as well. 9, your answer is D. And now that we've finished with all the questions in this test, let's go through a few key points. Now a big one is how important visualizing and making notes about a text is to help you remember key information. So we just used that with this sort of batting baseball question. We had the 9 spaces. We can slowly fill in the spaces and see what's been used, what goes next to each other, and all that stuff. Very helpful. If you try to do all that stuff in your head, you're really gonna, 1, waste your time, and 2, just confuse yourself. Okay? Now, second part is how to do these closed passage questions. Read the whole text in its entirety, which means the whole thing. Read all the potential answers, and then go back to the text and slot in each of the options that you have into the blank spaces. Okay? That way, you won't skip any questions, and you won't be confused by the extra option that you have. Okay? Now we've finished with this test.